This is the Cuyahoga County Council Organizational meeting of Wednesday, January 2nd, 2013. According to council rules, the meeting is called to order by the Clerk of Council. Calling the roll for the organizational meeting. Mr. Brady?
Here.
Mr. Germana? Here. Mr. Gallagher? Here. Mr. Schron?
Here.
Ms. Conwell? Here. Mr. Jones? Here. Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Ms. Simon? Here. Ms. Conley?
Here.
Mr. Greenspan?
Here.
Mr. Miller? Here. There is a quorum. If you'd all rise to please recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Things change so quickly.
Item number 4 is the election of council officers. In accordance with Rule 2C of the council rules, the process for the election of council leadership, the president and the vice president shall be elected at the organizational meeting as follows. Any member may nominate themselves or another member, and a second shall not be required. After all nominations for president have been made, the clerk shall call the roll, and each member shall vote for one candidate. A member must receive at least 6 votes for election. If no member receives 6 votes and one candidate receives the fewest number of votes, the candidate receiving the fewest number of votes shall be eliminated, and the voting process shall be repeated. If 2 or more candidates are tied for the least number of votes, then no candidates shall be eliminated, and the voting process shall be repeated. If no candidate receives 6 votes in the second round, the process I just described shall be repeated until a candidate is elected. After the election, the president, the vice president shall be elected in the same manner. Okay, as to the election of the president, does anyone have a nomination?
I nominate C. Ellen Connolly as council president.
Madam Clerk, it is my distinct honor to second the nomination of C. Ellen Connolly for president of the Cuyahoga County Council.
Are there any other nominations from the floor? Hearing no other nominations, I will now do a roll call vote for president. Mr. Brady?
C. Ellen Conley.
Mr. Germana?
C. Ellen Connolly.
Mr. Gallagher?
C. Ellen Connolly.
Mr. Schron?
C. Ellen Conley.
Ms. Conwell?
C. Ellen Connolly.
Mr. Jones?
C. Ellen Connolly.
Mr. Rogers?
C. Ellen Connolly.
Ms. Simon?
C. Ellen Connolly.
Ms. Conley?
C. Ellen Connolly.
Mr. Greenspan?
C. Ellen Conley.
Mr. Miller?
C. Ellen Connolly.
Well, I proclaim by unanimous vote that the president for the county council is C. Ellen Conley. Okay, moving on to the election of the vice president. Are there any nominees from the floor?
Madam Clerk, it is with my distinct honor that I would like to place a nomination in the name of Dan Brady for Vice President of the Cuyahoga County Council.
Madam Clerk, I second the nomination of Dan Brady for Vice President of County Council.
Are there any other nominations on the floor? Okay, hearing none, calling the roll for Vice President. Mr. Brady?
Dan Brady.
Mr. Germana?
Dan Brady.
Mr. Gallagher?
Daniel Brady.
Mr. Schron?
Dan Brady.
Ms. Conwell?
Dan Brady.
Mr. Jones?
Dan Brady.
Mr. Rogers?
Dan Brady.
Ms. Simon? Ms. Conley?
Dan Brady.
Mr. Greenspan,
Dan Brady.
and Mr. Miller.
Dan Brady.
I proclaim that Mr. Brady is the Vice President of the County Council. Point, according to council rules, the president will now preside over the remainder of the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd like to thank our clerk staff for doing a really wonderful job over the last 2 years. As with the rest of us, we started out with really no procedures, and Jean had the historical memory of many of the procedures for the county. So I'd like to thank her and her staff. This first 2 years has been challenging and exciting, and I look forward to another 2 years of working towards a better government, working with the administration, and working with all of you on behalf of the citizens of our individual districts and the county as a whole. In addition to the vital issues relating to the budget and health and human services concerns and our charter mandated oversight of various areas of the county administration, we faced a number of important decisions regarding charter review, the decisions that will be made regarding the acquisition and disposal of property for the county will affect the citizens of this county for probably the next 50 years. We undertake this task while keeping the public fully informed, but with the utmost concern and dedication that we trust that we will make the right decision. I look forward to the next 2 years as a dynamic period of economic growth for the region and working with all of you to accomplish these goals. You have received in your packet a schedule for the next year's meetings that we will be voting on in a few minutes. I will be working on committee assignments and board assignments, which will be available within the next two weeks. And you also should have received a new procedure that we're releasing a bi-monthly status of pending legislation, and we will start circulating those so that everyone can kind of keep in the flow. I look forward to, as I said, working with all of you and serving the county, and this will be a very, very challenging 2 years, but I think with the help of all of you that we can make this a better county. And Mr. Brady, would you like to address your colleagues?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to say I'm quite honored to be able to have the opportunity, thanks to my colleagues, to be able to serve as an officer of this legislative body for the next 2 years. It's been a fascinating experience for the last 2, and I'm looking forward to putting our shoulder to the wheel and doing what we can to keep Cuyahoga County moving in the right direction.
And I would be remiss if I did not recognize Sunny Simon, who has served as our vice president for the last 2 years, for her dedication to service, and we thank you for your service. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you very much, Madam President. First of all, congratulations to you and Councilman Brady. One of my New Year's resolutions is to be briefer in my comments to the council.
Okay. You've confused me so much, I don't even know where we are. Okay. Item 7, consideration of a motion of council for first reading under suspension of the rules. This is the schedule that we have circulated for the years 2013 and 14. And if there is a motion to suspend the rules, then we can consider this under suspension of the rule. Mr. Brady?
Madam Chairperson, I move to suspend Rules 9D and 12A and to place on final passage motion number M 2013-0001.
Second.
Right. And Madam Clerk, do you want to read that? I'm sorry, I neglected to. Mr. Fitzgerald shook me up so much with his short comments that. That's okay.
Rest assured, Madam President, this is the appropriate time to read it into the record.
Okay.
Motion number 2013-0001, a motion establishing the 2013 and 2014 schedules of county council meetings and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
I'm just,
Oh, I'm sorry, you gotta vote on the
just
sorry.
realized we voted,
We
hadn't,
didn't, vote, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
had not voted on the suspension of
All
rules.
right, all those in favor of suspending the rules, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, the rules are suspended. Now, we've read this, and this is like 2 years ago, we're starting from scratch. Okay, any discussion on the meeting schedule?
I thought it was supposed to be 6 o'clock.
Just kidding, just kidding. Inside joke.
Okay. Yeah, is there any discussion on it other than the 6 o'clock? Which,
I'd like to ask who was the first and second, since I got caught up in all of this.
who seconded? Mr. Miller seconded? Okay.
Who was the first?
I think Brady's moved and
Thank you,
Miller
Mr. Brady.
seconded.
Thank you.
This is we're going to adopt the schedule. These schedules are always subject to change if we anticipate that there's going to be a problem with the meeting date, but this is established as the schedule. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We have a meeting schedule. And is there any miscellaneous business? Is there any public comment unrelated to the agenda? Anyone sign in for public comment?
I know Ms. Mensch had called or sent an email, but I don't see her
We
in the audience.
thought someone had signed in for, okay. All right, if there's no further business before the council at this time, we will stand adjourned until 5:30 for our committee of the whole. No, we don't skip, we'll skip that.
You're welcome.